What if the very thing you thought was holding you back could actually be the key to everything you want? Imagine someone who couldn't read a single word growing up, someone who was told they'd never be anything, and then one day that same person is reading, writing, and inspiring millions. That's the power of turning weakness into strength. You see, we all have weaknesses. Some of us are afraid to admit it, but deep down we know they're there. And here's the truth. Friends, those weaknesses don't define us, they refine us. If you're watching this and thinking about something you feel you can't do, don't turn away just yet. Lean in, because this message is for you. Very weakness holds potential. This is a truth that many overlook because we've been conditioned to think of weaknesses as something to hide or avoid. But what if I told you that the very thing you fear could be your greatest asset? What if your perceived weaknesses were actually untapped sources of strength? Imagine a muscle that feels weak because it hasn't been used to its full capacity. It's not broken, it's simply dormant, waiting for you to engage it. When we face challenges, we often think of them as barriers, as limitations we have to live with. But if you look deeper, you'll see that those challenges are simply opportunities for growth. Every weakness you experience is an invitation to develop something new, to expand your boundaries, and to push beyond what you thought was possible. You can't grow without resistance. Weaknesses are the canvas on which strength is painted. Take the example of someone who's always struggled with public speaking. At first, the fear, the nerves, the anxiety, those feel like weaknesses. But with every speech, every word spoken, the weakness becomes a skill. The more you face it, the more you improve, until one day that weakness is no longer something you fear. It becomes your power. It becomes your message. Weaknesses are not to be feared, they are to be cultivated. They are simply a starting point, and like any seed, it takes time, care, and effort to grow. A mindset shift is everything when it comes to transforming weaknesses into strengths. The way we view our challenges determines how we approach them, and ultimately how we overcome them. If you approach your weaknesses with a mindset of defeat, believing they're just things you'll never overcome, then that's exactly what they'll be, defeats. But if you shift your mindset to see them as opportunities for growth, you'll unlock a whole new level of potential. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that strengths are innate, that some people are just born with it. But the reality is, everything can be learned. If you can change the way you think about your weaknesses, you can change the way you approach life itself. Weaknesses are not permanent states, they are stages in your journey. A mindset shift means reprogramming how you respond to difficulties. Instead of seeing a setback as failure, you begin to see it as feedback, as data that can help you refine your approach. Instead of feeling discouraged by what you can't do, you start focusing on what you can do, and you take those small steps forward, one by one. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It requires daily commitment and an openness to challenge your old beliefs. But once you start to see weaknesses through this new lens, you'll realize that nothing is truly impossible. All it takes is the will to change, the courage to face discomfort, and the discipline to keep moving forward. Embracing the journey is one of the most powerful shifts you can make when transforming weaknesses into strengths. It's easy to want instant results, to wish for quick fixes, but true growth doesn't happen in a straight line. The process of change is messy, unpredictable, and often uncomfortable, but it is in this very discomfort that real transformation occurs. When you embrace the journey, you stop focusing on a destination that's far off in the distance and start appreciating the lessons and progress made along the way. Each challenge you face becomes part of your story, a necessary chapter in the book of your personal growth. Weaknesses aren't things to be ashamed of. They are part of the path, the obstacles that will ultimately make you stronger. You can't get to the peak without the climb. The journey itself becomes the teacher, shaping you, strengthening you, and preparing you for what lies ahead. Many people avoid this journey because it feels uncertain, because it's easier to stay in comfort zones. But the reality is, when you embrace the journey, you unlock potential you never knew you had. You discover resources within yourself that you thought were unavailable. Each step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. And with every challenge you overcome, you build resilience and confidence that no external circumstance can take away. Embracing the journey means committing to the long haul. It means understanding that growth is not a linear process, but a winding road full of lessons. The moments of struggle, failure, and doubt are the very things that will build your character, strength, and resolve. And when you stop running from the process and start accepting it, you'll see that your weaknesses weren't setbacks, they were stepping stones to something greater. Small steps lead to big changes, and often this is where most people miss the mark. We're conditioned to believe that transformation happens in giant leaps, that in order to make a real difference, we need to see instant results. But in reality, lasting change is built one small action at a time. It's not about making huge, bold moves right out of the gate. It's about consistency, patience, and a willingness to keep going, even when the results aren't immediate. Think about it, no one runs a marathon without first taking the first step, then the second, and so on. Every great achievement in history was the result of countless small efforts compounding over time. In fact, small steps are often the most powerful because they're sustainable. They don't overwhelm you, and they give you the chance to celebrate progress without waiting for the finish line. When you take small steps, you're building momentum. At first, the progress may seem minimal, almost invisible. But over time, those tiny victories stack up. Each step is a brick in the foundation of the bigger change you want to create. If you focus on taking one small action every day, whether it's improving a little bit, learning something new, or pushing yourself past a limit, you'll eventually look back and realize how far you've come. Small steps also build confidence. They show you that you can take action and make things happen, no matter how insignificant the change seems in the moment. The key is to stay focused on the process, not just the outcome. When you trust the process and commit to moving forward, no matter how small the progress, you'll find that the bigger changes come naturally. The journey itself becomes as important as the destination. And over time, the little steps you've taken will accumulate into something powerful and life-changing. See setbacks as setups because every obstacle you encounter is an opportunity in disguise. When you face a setback, it's easy to get discouraged, to feel like you're being knocked down or held back. But the truth is, setbacks are often the universe's way of pushing you in a new direction, testing your resilience and forcing you to grow in ways you hadn't planned. Every setback is a setup for a greater comeback. It's not the end of the road, it's simply a detour to something better, something you may not even see yet. When things go wrong, it's natural to want to retreat, to question yourself, or to give up. But if you can shift your perspective and see the setback as a learning experience, you'll unlock the real power of adversity. A setback doesn't mean you're not good enough or capable enough. It means you need to adjust your approach, rethink your strategy, and perhaps even dig deeper within yourself to find the strength you didn't know you had. Think about all the successful people you admire, the ones who seem to have it all together. Their stories are filled with setbacks. The difference between them and those who quit is how they handled those challenges. They use their setbacks as stepping stones, learning from each failure and coming out stronger. A setback often forces you to pause and reassess, and in doing so, it opens up new paths you hadn't considered before. It sharpens your focus, teaches you valuable lessons, and reveals weaknesses you can turn into strengths. Instead of seeing a setback as something to fear, you begin to see it as an essential part of your journey, one that is necessary for your personal development and growth. When you see setbacks as setups, you stop allowing them to defeat you. You start using them to fuel your determination, to improve your game, and to sharpen your skill set. Every failure becomes a stepping stone, not a barrier. You begin to understand that every obstacle is just another layer of your foundation, preparing you for the success that's coming. The setup may not be clear in the moment, but with time, you'll see that every setback was simply preparing you for the next level of your life. Failure is the best teacher because it reveals truths that success can never show you. When we succeed, it's easy to celebrate, but we rarely dig deep to understand why we succeeded. It's in failure that we find the real lessons, the raw truths about our limits, our weaknesses, and our untapped potential. Failure doesn't hold back, it lays everything bare, showing you exactly where you need to grow and what you need to work on. When you fail, you're not just learning from the mistake itself, you're learning about your response to adversity. How do you react when things don't go according to plan? Do you give up or do you get up and try again? Failure teaches resilience, persistence, and the courage to continue, even when the road ahead is unclear. It pushes you to rethink your approach, to adapt, and to refine your methods. Every failure is a chance to improve, to make adjustments, and to better prepare for what's coming next. Think about some of the world's most successful individuals. They didn't get there because they avoided failure, they got there because they embraced it. Each time they stumbled, they learned from it, applied the lessons, and moved forward with more wisdom. Failure forces you to face reality and take responsibility. It doesn't allow you to hide behind excuses or blame others. It makes you take a hard look at what went wrong, and in doing so, you become more self-aware and more capable of navigating future challenges. Failure teaches you humility, patience, and adaptability. It shows you that success isn't just about talent or luck, it's about effort, perseverance, and the willingness to learn from your mistakes. Without failure, you would never experience true growth. Success can be a smooth ride, but failure is what builds character. The more you fail, the more you learn, and the more equipped you become to handle even bigger challenges. Failure reveals the areas where you need to strengthen your game and prepares you for the victories that come afterward. Celebrate progress, because every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory on its own. Too often we get caught up in the idea of reaching a final destination, a perfect outcome. We set our sights on the big picture and forget to appreciate the journey. But progress is not just about the end goal, it's about the consistent effort, the growth, and the changes you experience along the way. Celebrate progress, because every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory on its own. Too often we get caught up in the idea of reaching a final destination, a perfect outcome. We set our sights on the big picture and forget to appreciate the journey. But progress is not just about the end goal, it's about the consistent effort, the growth, and the changes you experience along the way. When you celebrate progress, you acknowledge the work you've put in, the battles you've fought, and the lessons you've learned. Every little achievement is a testament to your dedication, your persistence, and your will to keep going. When you take time to recognize these milestones, you give yourself the motivation to push through the tough times, to keep striving for more, and to build the momentum that propels you toward your bigger goals. Progress, no matter how minor it seems, deserves recognition. It's easy to overlook the small wins because we're so focused on what's still left to do, but those small wins compound. They matter. They prove that you are moving forward, that you are capable, and that you're getting closer to the person you want to be. Celebrating progress keeps you connected to the process, reminding you that growth happens incrementally. It's not just about the big moments of success, but about everything that happens between those moments. When you make it a habit to celebrate progress, you also build a mindset of gratitude. You become more appreciative of your efforts, of the setbacks that led to breakthroughs, and of the strength you've gained along the way. Instead of getting discouraged by what's left to accomplish, you begin to feel pride in how far you've come. Every step, no matter how small, is part of your journey, and celebrating it keeps you grounded and motivated, making the path ahead feel less daunting and more achievable. Believe in reinvention, because the ability to transform yourself is one of the most powerful forces you can tap into. Life doesn't hand you a set path, it challenges you, tests you, sometimes forces you into situations you never imagined. But within those challenges lies the opportunity to reinvent who you are, to shed old versions of yourself and emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable. Reinvention is not about changing who you are at your core. It's about evolving, adapting, and breaking free from old patterns, beliefs, or habits that no longer serve you. It's about seeing every experience, every failure, and every setback as a chance to become someone new. You can reinvent your mindset, your habits, your career, your relationships. There is no limit to how you can reshape your life. And it all starts with the belief that you can. Think about the greatest success stories, the people who have transformed their lives or careers. Most of them have reinvented themselves multiple times throughout their lives. Whether it's a person shifting careers, overcoming personal struggles, or adapting to a new phase of life, reinvention is the key to continual growth. It's not a one-time event, but an ongoing process, one that requires you to remain open, to be willing to let go of the old in order to embrace the new. Believing in reinvention means understanding that change is constant and that you are never stuck in one version of yourself. You have the power to adapt to new circumstances, to learn new skills, and to build new identities that align with your values, passions, and goals. It's about understanding that who you were in the past doesn't define who you have to be in the future. Each day you have the power to reinvent yourself, to take what you've learned and apply it in a way that opens new doors and opportunities. Reinvention also requires courage. It's not easy to step away from the familiar, to leave behind old ways of thinking, or to challenge the status quo. But when you believe in your ability to reinvent yourself, you free yourself from the fear of failure and the weight of past mistakes. You become empowered to pursue the life you truly want, even if it means stepping into the unknown. The key is in the belief that you can always change, grow, and transform into someone greater than you were before. Reinvention is not just a possibility, it's a power within your grasp. Turning weaknesses into strengths, embracing failure, and celebrating progress are all essential steps in your journey of reinvention. Each challenge you face is an opportunity to evolve, to learn, and to grow. By shifting your mindset, taking small steps, and seeing setbacks as setups, you can turn every obstacle into a stepping stone. Believe in your ability to reinvent yourself because your potential is limitless. Every small victory, every lesson learned, and every failure faced brings you closer to the best version of yourself. Keep pushing forward because your transformation is in your hands. The power to change is yours.